Welcome to That Seasonaire podcast. I'm your host Gina. Stick with me as I chat to Seasonaires, expats and adventurers across the world sharing their inspiring stories and interesting insights into living and working abroad. So here we are, the last episode of season 1, and today on the show I catch up with Mondo Waves drummer, self-proclaimed fun director and all-round nice guy, Mr. Tom West.
No one knows what's going on. Like, I'm just going to sneak out. So I'd sneak out and snowboard for a few hours because there was no rules. Like, no one really knew what was going on. So you sneak out and snowboard for a few hours, come back and be like, yeah, it's a nightmare today.
Tune in as Tom recalls his time pro riding for big names such as Relentless and Electric, as well as how he got into running, going on to compete in the London, Munich and New York marathons. This episode is a mixture of helpful insights and mischievous tales, as Tom shares his highlights of almost 20 years of mountain life. Listen right to the end of the show to hear how Tom ended up in intensive care during the pandemic, and get the rundown of Tom's best and worst jobs during the course of his time as a Seasonaire, including how he blagged the best job ever working on the Art of Flight European tour. If you enjoy the podcast and want to show your support for the show, you are now able to buy me a coffee via the link in the show notes. And without further ado, here's the show. Tom West, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, really good.
You were nominated to come on by your friend Jonathan Weaver. Did you know that?
Yeah, I listened to his one. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's cool.
You were also nominated on Rowley's podcast as well.
I listened to
Morley
that.
Brown.
I listened to that a couple of days ago at work, actually. Yeah, he said some really nice things, actually. That was cool.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from England. I was born in London, near Highbury, next to Highbury Football Stadium, actually, and was in Crouch End for the first 2 years of my life, but I don't remember that. And then we moved to Buckingham, which is a small town just north of London, not far from Milton Keynes. And then, grew up there till I was pretty much was there till I was 18. And then, as soon as I was 18, I was like, I am out of here.
Okay. So you kind of always knew that you wanted to leave?
I was quite lucky. We went on skiing holidays. I first went away when I was about eight, I think. Went to France on a skiing holiday. Then we went again when I was 9. And then when I was 10, first started snowboarding with my dad. We had a snowboard lesson together.
Cool.
Which was pretty sick. And then, from pretty much the first time I clipped in, I was in hard boots and hard, race board. But literally from the first few turns, I was like, I want to do this forever. This is what I want to do.
Awesome. You're here now living in Mayrhofen in Austria, and we'll get on to how that happened later on in the show. Do you consider yourself a Seasonaire or an expat? I guess you're like a resident in Austria now, is that right?
Yeah, I guess a couple of the locals even call me local, but I'm never going to be a local. I definitely don't speak this mad dialect as they speak. I wouldn't call myself a Seasonaire anymore. I've lived here now for the last 7 years, year round. Yeah, just someone that just sort of lives here, I guess now. Not a local, not really a Seasonaire, not an expat, just someone that's just here.
Just here,
yeah, enjoying what they've got to give here.
And what do you do for a job?
Right now, it's what are we, June at the moment. I work as a greenkeeper on the golf course, which is pretty nice. Outside the whole time, so sometimes when it's raining, it's not so nice. But then when the sun's out, it can be really enjoyable. We start work really early. We start work at 6 and finish at 3, and so then you've got plenty of time to go mountain biking or climbing or skating. Or I don't really skate that much, but you can do lots of things after work, which is really nice. And then in the winter, I work for the ski resort. It's a year round contract. Ski resort's owned by the golf course, and the golf course owned by the ski resort. And I like to tell people I'm the fun director at Kaltenbach. That's what I tell girls in the bar. I'm the fun director, but basically I'm sort of, I'd call myself managing director of the fun slope.
Okay.
And then I work in the park as well, which is outsourced to another company. But I work in the park and build the fun slope for a ski resort.
What did you want to do when you were at school? What sort of things were you into then?
I don't know. I was never really that good at school. I was always there and did my thing. I think you could basically spell fudge with my GCSEs, and that's seriously. My English was all right, actually. English literature, I think we got a C. That was my highest grade. But yeah, once I started snowboarding when I was 10, 11, and then I was lucky enough when I was about 16, I started going to college. I was doing music at college.
Oh, right.
But during the college holidays, I'd get to go to Switzerland and work for this chalet. And my dad would organise like trips out there every year, like two or three trips, and a busload of people, and all his mates and all their friends and all their kids. So we'd get to go on them, which was awesome. And then he got to know the owner. So then when I was 16 at college, he was like, "Can Tom come and work?" So I'd get to go out for a couple of weeks in February, a couple of weeks at Easter, and sort of do a bit of Seasonaire life when I was 16. And then I was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to go away for the season and snowboard. All I wanted to do was snowboard. And so, yeah, I knew that I just wanted to do that, but I didn't really know how to get a job doing that. You know, I knew that I could work for him in the chalet, but that's a funny story, actually. But then, yeah, I wasn't allowed to go and work with him in the chalet because he thought I was a bit of, not a troublemaker, but I slept with one of the chalet girls when I was 16 and she was 29. So, yeah, yeah, that's a big, you know, it was more her than me. But when I finished college, I was like, "Can I come and work with you?" He's like, maybe not. No, but I knew I wanted to go and work and do a snowboard season. That's all I wanted to do.
You just weren't allowed at that particular chalet.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
exactly,
okay.
Yeah. So as soon as I was 18, I was like, right, I need to just get a job somewhere, somehow.
How did you go about that? Did you finish college first? Did you finish the music? Was it like a degree or?
I was doing popular music.
Okay.
And was all right at it. I really enjoyed like the playing part. I played drums and we sort of made a college band and played drums. But I just sort of knew, I think, that all I wanted to do as soon as I was 18 was go and do a season. I wasn't really that dedicated to the college, to the degree or anything. And just all I wanted to do was go and do a winter season and get out of England, basically. And then, yeah, I wasn't sure really how to go about it. I mean, literally listen to this podcast, listen to a few you've had. It would have been so good if I could have had that when I was younger, because I didn't know how to go about it and didn't know what to do. So literally, like, listen to some of them. There's so many different options, so many different ways you can do it. But the way I did it was similar to John Weaver's, actually, and just got a job for First Choice, the English holiday company. Mm-hmm. We went on a bus from London, Victoria, like 40 kids that didn't have a clue what was going on. I was just turned 18. Quite a few of them had sort of done their uni thing. They were on their like gap year after uni or whatever. And yes, coming up to the 20th anniversary of that trip, actually. Yeah. So this November will be the 20th anniversary of me going away for my first season. And I was really lucky, like similar to John, actually. I was really lucky I got to go to Teen. Mm-hmm. And it was a sort of chalet girl, chalet boy, chalet person in a hotel, just working in a hotel. We were called girlies, but obviously that's incredibly misogynistic now, and you're not allowed to say that. But yeah, I was doing like breakfast in the morning, then maybe clean some rooms, and then snowboard all day, and then maybe serve dinner in the evenings or something like that.
So when did you meet John? Was it on the bus or?
No. He wasn't on that season. So like I did my first season. I went on my own. I didn't know anybody.
Okay.
As soon as we get on the bus, it's like, whoa, here we go. Right, we're going to be living together. And then we got the bus, and everyone's kind of shy. Then we got to the ferry, and then got on the ferry, and then everyone goes to the bar, and everyone starts drinking. Then next thing you know, we're all best friends. And then someone's got a bottle of gin or something on when we come off the bus, and then we all got drunk and all made friends. And yeah, I'm still friends with a few of the people, actually. Like,
cool. Yeah. How did you find that season? Was it good?
Oh, it's awesome!
Enjoy it?
Awesome. I was just so stoked to be able to go snowboarding every day. Then on the Saturdays, change every day on Saturdays. It was like, right, all hands on deck. Everyone needs to come, and there's like no time for snowboarding. But it was just chaotic because there's like 40 children trying to run this hotel with like a managing director who's just a nutter. After a few Saturdays, I was like, no one knows what's going on. Like, I'm just going to sneak out. So I'd sneak out and snowboard for a few hours because there was no rules. Like, no one really knew what was going on. So you'd sneak out and snowboard for a few hours, come back and be like, yeah, it's a nightmare today. Awesome fun. Yeah, I'm still in contact with a few of them people and some amazing people I met. Quite a lot of them have done uni. I'm like on some sort of gap year afterwards, but I was just chasing the snowboard dream, basically. That first season, I met a guy called James Costa. Shout out to James Costa. Then he was like, what are you doing this summer? I was like, I'm going to go back to England and save up money so I can do another season and maybe not have to work so much. And he's like, oh man, you should come out. I've got a place here in the summer. Oh, he had a place there all year. He rented out in the winter.
Teens?
In Teen, yeah. He had and they've got a glacier there. And he rented the place out during the winter and worked for First Choice. And then in the summer, we'd all go and crash around there and shred the glacier. And they had a snowboard park at the glacier. I didn't know you could do that. I was like, what? So then did that. Met John Weaver there. He was also crashing like under the kitchen table in these pokey French apartments. There's like 6 of us crammed in. Yeah, started shredding with him. Like we just got along like a house on fire. And he's like, what are you doing this winter? I was like, oh, I'm coming back to Teen. This place is amazing. He's like, nah, dude, like, come to this town called Mayrhofen in Austria. It's really cheap. Like, it's way cheaper. Like, if we save a bit of money, we might not have to work that much during the winter and we can just snowboard all the time. I was like, awesome. So went back to England, got like a job on a building site and a job in a bar, saved up as much money as I could, and then came here with him early December when I was 19. Yeah.
For anyone that's listening, John Weaver, episode 4, check it out. What was your goal for that season?
Back fives, basically. No, just to get, I was obsessed with snowboarding. I just wanted to get as good as I could. Mm-hmm. And then here the park's really cool. And back then there was like 2 big jumps and then like maybe 5 rails, but a really short chairlift. So we would just lap the park as much as we could. And I just wanted to just get as good as I could at snowboarding. And that was the main goal, just have fun and just try and get as good as I could at snowboarding. Yeah, so then did a season here with John in the gas staff before it was what it is now, and then did that, and that was amazing. And then met a local girl, Sylvia Hansbigler, and
shout out to Sylvia,
and the Hansbigler family. And then just went back home and got a couple of jobs again, like got a bar job and then like a telesales job or something, or like a building site. Just saved up as much money as I could so that I could come back and snowboard without really having to work, because it was quite cheap back in the day here in Austria. Rent was pretty cheap and lift passes were cheap. And
you were still going back to kind of make that money so you didn't have to work as hard in the season.
So I was lucky that I could go and live with my mum and dad when I was like 19, 20, didn't really have to pay rent and could just save up as much money. And they saw how dedicated I was. I think they saw that I came back and would just put my head down and I'd work Monday to Friday on a building site or on a telesales or something, and then do a bar job or like waiting at the weekends. They were like, well, I don't know, they didn't really say anything, but it was quite clear that I was that dedicated to just saving money to do something else. Mm-hmm. And they were always, quite supportive of that. So then came back again the next winter, and then, me and Sylvia got closer, and then I pretty much ended up just living in her hotel for a few years, which was quite cool. Yeah, that was really sweet, actually. Her family was so nice to me. And obviously, I think I was renting a place at the time, but was basically living with her. So for a couple of seasons did that. Then sort of put on a bit of weight, actually, because we had literally a bat phone from our apartment. We could call down to the kitchen and be like, cordon bleu and chips. And then whatnot, and just order whatever you wanted. We'd go out drinking at the bar and then come back and just raid the kitchen in the hotel. You could just eat what you wanted. And we had Fanta on tap. And then I put on quite a bit of weight and got the nickname Fanta Face for a while. That was good.
Cool.
That's when I started running.
Right. So at this point, were you looking to become a professional snowboarder?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. And how did that go? Did you manage to progress enough to get some sponsors? Or it happened all pretty quickly, actually. Like, I think that even the first season we were here, me and John were like going out and hitting some handrails, and then this guy called Vernon Deck, shout out to Vernon Deck, this amazing photographer, he was like a Vulcan photographer. He came and just like stayed with us for a few days, and we had these handrails we wanted to go and hit. So we'd go and hit these handrails, and he was like, I've been here before, I came here with Eretula. We were like, what? No way. Like, wow, we're in the big leagues now, like all of a sudden. And he made a comment that the rail wasn't big enough for Eretula's trick. And for us, we were just, if we got to the bottom and we were alive, we were like, we've got the trick. So literally, I think I hit it like twice, like board slid it, the Axel Litzen rail. It's like quite a big, like a 23, 4, 5 stair cheese grater rail. Yeah, board slid it. And he was like, cool, I've got this flashes set up, like got a shot, like, and I was like, that's the shot. Like, I'm not hitting that again. Like, just so stoked. And then, but that progressed, like getting some free boards. Yeah, eventually sort of
getting a little bit of sort of travel budget, and then
Who were you sponsored by?
got sponsored first by SS20, a shop in Oxford.
Right, okay.
Like sent them off some photos and stuff, and yeah, they were awesome. Like Mon Barber was incredible, and yeah, he gave me like some jeans and some t-shirts and some stickers, and I was like, wow, this is insane. And then he contacted a few companies. He contacted Burton. They gave me like a pro form, which is like basically like 50% off. So
Right.
like for the next season, like we just bought a load of Burton stuff 50% off, which was cool. And then the next season, then they hooked me up on Forum, and that's when we made Hunger Pain, the snowboard movie.
Right, okay.
Which I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but yeah. So it all kind of fell into the same time. Like when we were making the Hunger Pain movie, the Hunger Pain house, which is still going today, it's very different to what it was. But there was this big house where all the shredders came to stay, and then we made Hunger Pain, the first video, and me and Rolly actually shared a section in that, which was kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
That's probably still got my best trick to date in it. But, yeah.
Can people find that somewhere?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can watch it on Vimeo. You just Google Hunger Pain snowboard movie.
Oh, nice.
You can probably watch that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So your snowboarding progressed to a good level,
Yeah.
and you went with that for a bit.
Yeah, look, it was awesome. Like, so I was just stoked to get free boards and free jackets and stuff, and you'd get these boxes that came every now and then, and it was just, you're like, what? No way! Like all these t-shirts and caps and beanies, and I got sponsored by Electric, so you get like Electric stuff, and it was like the coolest stuff, and you're just happy to get free stuff. You don't anything you're just stoked on. Like in money, you're not really worried about money. Like we're obviously worried about money, but you're not expecting to get money. We're not at that level really. Then Relentless came around, this energy drink, and they were sort of funded by Coke, so they had endless money. And me and John were actually the first two snowboarders to get on Relentless, and we did like, I don't know, we flew back to England, did like some weird advert or something. Yeah. So they
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
They flew me and John back, and we had to like film this like Relentless advert, and some guy was like interviewing. He's like, what makes you relentless? And I was like, dude, to be honest, I'm not sure I know what relentless means. Like, obviously sort of now I do, but at the time I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to sound like a retard, but I definitely did. And I was like 22 or 23 or so. I was like, I don't know, I just love snowboarding. All I want to do is snowboard. Like, don't ask me weird questions like this. I just want to snowboard. Give me money. Give me more money. Like, I think eventually they paid me £1,000, like signing on fee. And I was like, what? You're going to give me £1,000 to go snowboarding? This is amazing. And then there was like a contract, and then it was like, yeah, you get a travel budget for like a few grand or something. And I was like, oh my God, this is his best thing. So they'd pay for my flights and stuff and lift passes for the next few years.
Wow. Cool.
And then they had some really, really bizarre things as well. Like they had this thing that if you're in England and you were going to a party, you could call them up and be like, yo, I'm going to this party on Friday night. Here's the address. And they would send a Relentless party pack, which was basically 2 crates of Relentless and a few bottles of vodka. So I think they bought me flights to America a couple of times and like lift passes here and there. And then it was in the summer, I was like, can you guys get my flight to New Zealand? And James Robb was like, dude, like, yeah, Tom, I don't know, man, it's meant to be just for snowboarding. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm going snowboarding there. I'm going for the season, the winter season there. Oh, what? Yeah, no worries, bro. Yeah, for sure we'll get there. I was like, oh, what? I could literally get flights anywhere with this company. Like, they were insane. There was obviously like a limit, but it was all sort of very unwritten and stuff. But yeah, you couldn't ask for anything, but they would definitely hook up like a few grand travel budget, which really helped, because I was just working building sites, call centers, Pizza Express, TGI Fridays, like randomest jobs to save money just to go snowboarding.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is Relentless still going? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't
don't see a lot of that over here.
Yeah, no. In Germany, it was Burn Energy.
Right, okay.
And that was the same thing. It was weird. In England, it was connected with Monster. So it was all the same company.
Oh, okay, it is. Okay.
They were like rivals. They were obviously targeting different markets. Like, yeah, it's weird because I don't drink energy drinks at all, but it's amazing to see what they put in. Like all the people that are sponsored by Monster and Red Bull, they do amazing events. I'm sure none of them actually drink it because it's terrible. But the money they put in to progress the sport and they make these cool events is really sick. But I'd never buy a can of it. No, never.
The only reason I know who Relentless are because they have the Relentless Garage in Islington.
Yes.
And I went to a gig there, which was Green Day's alter ego band, Foxborough Hot Tubs.
Oh, the Foxborough Hot Tubs. Did they
cool.
play Big Yellow Taxi?
Oh,
I love Green Day.
They had like one EP and it had like 6 songs on it at the time.
Sick.
And they played all of those. They only played one Green Day song, and they played I think it was like the title song on that little EP, which was Stop, Drop and Roll. And they played that about 20 times in a row.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit newer. Yeah, because that venue's awesome though.
It was 250 people in Green Day.
Just upstairs at the garage. There. Yeah, upstairs at the garage. That's sick.
It's really cool.
Wicked.
Yeah, 20 quid to get in. Bargain.
No way.
Best 20 quid I've ever spent.
Sick. Awesome.
Yeah, so anyway, off topic. You mentioned there you went to New Zealand. Did you do a few seasons over there, or what was the situation? Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So the first time I went, I was 20, and then I went back to England and was like, right, I need to save as much money as I can because I just want to snowboard now. I'm sick of trying to work and snow. I just want to snowboard. So got a job in Tesco's doing the night shift because I was like, night shift is where you can make the most money because you get like night bonus. So I think I did 6 months or like 5 months in Tesco's night shift. It was horrible, but I managed to save up $6,500 when I was like 20, which was quite a lot of money for a 20-year-old to save. Like, obviously, my mum and dad like, this guy's mental. Like, he's just going to work, and I was like so adamant on just saving money. And then Sylvia even came. So Sylvia's from here. She's from Schwendau, this like little picturesque mountain village, and she even came back to England because our plan was to go to New Zealand the next summer. So she even came back to England, to Buckingham, and got a job in a quiche factory in Winslow just to save up a bit more cash to go to New Zealand with. So then just after my 21st birthday in July, we flew to New Zealand together and we stayed in Queenstown, got there, didn't have a clue. We stayed actually with a friend I'd met on my first season, Emily Craft.
Right.
We stayed there for a few nights and then just managed to like in the supermarket there, they've got like, what they call them boards where you buy and sell or apartments for rent. Like,
a notice board.
Yeah, a notice board. Yeah. Found this apartment and then we bought a car and then had lift tickets for Remarkables and then just did a season in New Zealand. Yeah, it was awesome. Fell in love with the place and then went back for 3 more seasons. Not all back to back. I had a sort of couple of different breaks, but
were you always in the same place or?
No, yeah. So first season we did was in Queenstown, and then I don't know if it was the very next season, but then obviously came back for the Northern Hemisphere winter. Then maybe it was the next season, or maybe it was the one after, but went back to Wanaka, which is just over the sort of mountain range, not far from there, and did another season there, and just, I was riding Snowpark and Remarkables. Snowpark was on fire then, it was awesome. It was just like one chairlift, and the whole mountain was just a park. And there was like, like Tanner Hall was there, and skiing, like watching him in the pipe was incredible, and it was like, A-list snowboarders. Bert and team were just there shooting on the big jump. It was an amazing time to be there. And that place is sadly not going anymore. Yeah, you could see it didn't have longevity because the amount of money that was being spent and no one was buying lift passes. It was amazing, but yeah, weird.
Did you know Rowley at this point?
Yeah, I met Rowley here in Mayrhofen first. And then, so when went down to New Zealand, obviously it wasn't to hang out with him. It was like to go there with my girlfriend, do a season there, with the intention of just snowboarding as much as possible and not really hanging out with her or doing bungee jumping or anything, just to snowboard. And she was down there. She was really, really cool about that. And then, then for sure met up with Rowley a few times.
When did you decide to come across to Mayrhofen full time?
So was just spending more and more time here because you can ride the glacier from October through till May. So was trying to just be here basically from October till May. So I'd come out early season, try and be here from October until May. And then, I just loved the place, wanted to be here sort of full time, but obviously getting a job and there's a lot of gastronomy jobs and I didn't really want to work in a kitchen or hospitality and stuff. But, I knew I wanted to sort of stay here and obviously the language was a problem. I never learned German or anything. I remember I was in Finland, in Lapland with a few friends. It was like a snowboard sort of shoot, like photo week thing or something. We'd gone there for a specific reason. And then I remember must have been like late 20s, went to the bank machine and couldn't get any money out. It said insignificant funds. And I was like, God, like what? Like seriously? Like I've got no money. Had to borrow some money off my friends. And I was really like, I'm getting a bit sick and tired of this. Like going back to England, saving up money, coming snowboarding and spending it all and then eventually having nothing. I just got really sick and tired of that and was like, I want to live in Austria. And then all of a sudden they were like, we're building a golf course in Sillitoe. And I was like, wicked. Like, I grew up playing golf. Like, my granddad was fanatic at golf. I had a club in my hand since I was 2. I always sort of wanted to be a greenkeeper, but never pursued that because it had nothing to do with snowboarding. And then I was like, I could get a job on the golf course. And then went a weird way about doing it, but eventually, got a job as a greenkeeper, and then that's what I'm doing now. And yeah, pretty happy. Yeah.
Well, you say you went a weird way about it.
Initially, I should have just gone up to the person that's building the golf course and said, I'm English, know about golf. And that's a big difference because none of the locals here really know what golf is. And they obviously had a head greenkeeper they'd outsourced. And the golf director, there's people that for sure that knew about it, but the general workers that had on the course didn't have a clue about it. But my German skills were just not up to that scratch. So I got a job in Cafe Tirol on the high street in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then they opened the golf course and I started playing and then got a job in the kitchen at the golf course.
Right.
And was the breakfast chef for a year or so, which was intense. But it was kind of cool. Like in the winter, I was like working from 6 till 1. So I could finish work at 1 and then go shred. And still got 2 days off, which was all right. But then, it only took another year or 2. And then I finally started working on the course and then eventually got a job as a greenkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it went a bit of a weird around it. But then it helped me learn German, like doing them kitchen jobs and stuff.
What age were you when you started learning German? Do you remember?
Well, it would always pick it up a little bit, I guess, from living in Sylvia's hotel and having to try and converse with her parents. But it was very, very basic. Very, very basic. It wasn't until I immersed myself and was like, I want to stay here. I want to get a job here. Then, got a job in the kitchen, and then it was just like full-time. German, I wouldn't really call it German. It was like this dialect that we had created between all these foreign people that were trying to speak German together because none of them could speak English. None of them could speak German. We all had to speak German together. And then it just, over time, it took about, it goes pretty quick though, actually. Like, yeah, it goes pretty quick because all of a sudden you're like, okay, I need to speak German. And then you learn sort of very quickly bad German, and then it just slowly gets better. And it's the more you immerse yourself in it, girlfriend, work, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how you pick it up for sure. Or actually going to learn it at school. That might help. But yeah, I didn't do that.
So before you decided to come here full time, you were essentially going back to the UK in between seasons and doing jobs like you said, the night shift at Tesco. Yeah,
that was a good one, yeah.
Was there anything else that you did to save up to come out and do this sort of thing?
Yeah, I did. Oh, in hindsight, you're like, why didn't you just get a job when you're in Austria? But yeah, the language and I just wanted to snowboard. And obviously, like snowboarding really only takes up 4, 5, 6 hours a day on the good days. There was lots of spare time to have done other things, but I didn't really put my mind to that. So I was just do my thing of just go back to England, right? Look at the ads in the paper. This is back before the internet was really going. Like the internet was on, but it was like dial up. No one had a smartphone. Like, I didn't have a mobile phone till I was 22. And that was not a smartphone, I didn't get a smartphone till I was like 27, 28. So like, just looking at the classifieds in the local paper and just word of mouth. My dad hooked me up a couple of like building site jobs, which is pretty cool. So I'd do that and then maybe get a bar job at the weekend. But then I worked out that like waiting paid pretty well. So like, got a job in TGI Fridays.
Okay.
That was quite hilarious. I had to sing the birthday song and stuff and wear like stupid uniforms. But the tips are pretty good in there. I did all sorts. I did like telesales. Telesales was all right. I was pretty good at that. Actually, I was pretty good at that. Like I was just like, I don't care. I'm just going to call and call and call. But we weren't calling houses. We were calling like businesses.
Right. Okay.
And trying to speak to the IT manager or something. Random. But I was pretty good at that. Pizza Express was kind of funny. That was a bit later on. Once I got it figured out, I was like, Pizza Express is good because they tip really good. And the hours are pretty good. And then I think I was about 26, 27 in Pizza Express. And I was waiting this family and, it's all like, it's like Pizza Express, like nice families coming in on Sundays or something. And this family were there and I was like conversing with the family and trying to be nice to them. And he's like, yeah, so are you at uni on your gap year? And I was like, yeah, I'm at uni. And I'm like, oh no, I'm lying to these customers now. But you just want the tip. You just want the tip. So I didn't want to say, yeah, I'm a snowboard bum. Like, yeah, tip me really hard because I need the money to go snowboarding. Like, so I'm like, yeah, I'm at uni. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. Which uni? And at the time, a friend of mine was at Leeds. I was like, I'm at Leeds. And he's like, oh, that's great. Vicky's at Leeds, like his daughter that's there. And she's like, what, at the Metropolitan or the other one? I'm like, oh no, I'm in way too much debt now. And I was like, the Metropolitan one. I'm like, guy, I'd love to speak with you more, but table 12 needs a coffee. So I'd go and destroy the coffee machine and like make the worst cappuccino and then just try and avoid them. I think they still tip me at least a £5, maybe even a tenner. Back in the day, that was pretty good though. But yeah, it's all about the tips. It's all about the tips. Yeah. And then, but I think my worst job I ever did, this was really what made me think, I've got to stop doing these like random jobs, was working in some sort of building yard. And it was like a yard, and they'd get old cement mixers. That was the main thing. They get old cement mixers that had been like full up of concrete, and then put them into the workshop, and they'd like pimp up the engines, pimp up everything. But you know, the round metal thing which holds the cement, which turns around. Yeah. I don't know what you call it, but on a big cement mixer, the thing that holds all the cement and spins around, churning the cement. After years of neglect, the cement just gets thicker and thicker and thicker inside them drums. And he was like, right, yeah, so someone needs to go in there with like a little jackhammer and chip away at the concrete and clean it. So I used to get like 50, 60 quid danger money on top of my wages for that. That was a really good money.
Yeah, because that's nasty stuff.
Oh my God, it was seriously dangerous. Like, seriously dangerous, because you'd have to chip away at it and then move it round and then chip away at the next bit. And then every now and then, like, blocks of concrete would fall off, and you had to do it in quite a strategical way. That was gnarly. But yeah, I got danger money for that, which was kind of cool. But yeah, and that was the last straw. I was like, I've got to stop doing these like random jobs. Like, I just want to sort of get like not a normal, nice, but just something that just make money and just live in Austria so I can snowboard and just chill a bit more rather than do this mental stuff. When they built the golf course, I was like, yeah, that I can do in summer. And so I'm stoked to work on the golf course now there.
So how did you get the other job that you do in the winter at the park?
I guess late 20s, I started working in the Penken Park. Mm-hmm. It was the Vans Penken Park. And at the time, it was literally pretty much the best park in Europe. It was up there with Lax and everywhere else. And yeah, got a job shaping there for 2 or 3 years. Right. And then again, was like really stoked on that. But I was like, I need something year round. I really want something year round. But I was riding the park all the time, knew the guys from the park, and just got a job there, which was awesome. But then it was the same again. It was a season job, and I just was getting to that time when I was like, needed something a bit more year round, or didn't need it, but just sort of wanted something a bit more year round, a bit more sort of stable, instead of going back and then doing some random stuff in England, cleaning out cement mixers, which sucked.
So at the point where you were working at the park, were you still sponsored at this point?
Yeah. So yeah, I was still riding for Forum, and I think even Relentless, but it was quite clear that they had Jenny Jones, who was like an Olympian, and she'd got a bronze medal at the Olympics, bronze or silver, I don't know. They had like her and like Tyler Schoen and these like really good riders, and it was quite clear that I wasn't as good as them. So then I think my contract got like less and less, and they got more, and I always knew it was going to come. And then at this time, John was working for Forum in Innsbruck, so he was still hooking me up, and he could even hook me up, like he could bang with the books every now and then, and like hook me up with the odd grand here and there, like travel budget or whatnot. He won't mind me saying that. And that was awesome. But it was quite clear that I was like late 20s. It was quite clear that I was never going to get a pro model. I was just happy to get free boards or whatever I could get. When John was working at Nike, I would get like rolled into quite a few jobs working for Nike for John, which was pretty sick. And we'd go and do some like special park shoots. I'd be like bus driver or something, or shaper, do all sorts of random jobs. I mean, even one summer, Relentless, the energy drink company, they and I say headhunted me. They headhunted. I got the phone call one day. I was working on a building site for my dad, and then they got this phone call, and they were like, "We're doing a festival in London called the London Freeze. We want to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, I can be there tomorrow." So I came to the offices, and they just presented me this amazing opportunity. I was like, "Whoa, this is insane!" Like, I was going to be like, I called myself snow sports consultant, and I worked there for like
fancy.
Yeah, I worked there for like 6 months, like helping organize the festival and being the go-to guy with the knowledge about the skiers and snowboarders. So I was like the athlete manager in a way. That was incredible. That was awesome. And then they sponsored Relentless Reading Festival.
Oh, wow.
So we got like backstage VIP tickets to Reading when Metallica were playing, Tenacious D on the Sunday.
I'm
5-star
so
hotel.
jealous.
5-star hotel. They ruined festivals though, because like we were staying in a 5-star hotel. We had like 250 quid cash. We had free drinks. It was just like, no festival's ever going to be this good again. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's so posh.
Yeah. Literally ruined festivals. Yeah, that's so cool. And then had lots of other sort of, random jobs along the way. Like a good friend, Gary Greenshields, he was like riding for Burton. Basically got headhunted as well to work for Quicksilver, and he was the Quicksilver team manager, European Quicksilver team manager for a few years. And he was working with them on the Art of Flight tour. He was like, calls me up, he's like, Westy, what are you doing in November? I'm like, just shredding Hindertux, dude, like as always. And it's cold and windy and icy at Hindertux. And he's like, how about you come on the Art of Flight tour? And I'm like, doing what? And he's like, we need a white van driver. And I'm like, yeah, man. Okay, that sounds cool. So I go to Munich and meet this French guy and this Belgium guy. And the French guy is like the logistics manager for Quicksilver in Europe. So Travis Rice has flown over his art show for the Art of Flight. And they've come in these like wooden boxes. And with the measurements, they're like, they don't fit into one transit van. They have to go in two transit vans. So by the time we take them out of the wooden boxes and put them into one transit van, we realize they fit in one transit van. So we didn't need two. So I drive around Europe in an empty transit van, going to all these parties. Like, it's all fully paid. Like, they're like, well, we've booked all the accommodation and it's all in the budget. So we'll just take it in turn. So one day you take the art show, the next day we'll take it. So then, yeah, literally just drove around Europe, going to the Art of Flight premieres with Travis Rice and Giggy and Nicholas, and like, it was just incredible.
Wow. Like
nice hotels, but they'd fly to like Poland and fly to Barcelona where we couldn't drive because it was too far. So like, we got an extra day in Prague, we got a couple of extra days in Amsterdam, a couple of extra days in London, and we just got to like go sightseeing and buy souvenirs. And then, so on the last night of the tour in Paris, Travis Rice's girlfriend's like, so she's like, everyone's like, we're like a tight unit after this like month-long tour.
Yeah.
And we're all like best friends. And then she's helping us pack the van and then put everything into one van. She's like, well, what goes in your van then? And I just sort of smile at her. I'm like, come and have a look at what's in my van. Open up the van and there's just souvenirs from me and the other two roadies. You've got like some beers from Belgium. I've got a scarf from Prague. And I'm just like, just souvenirs. We didn't need two vans. Like, don't tell anyone. It's Quicksilver's money. She's just creasing. She's like, I won't tell anyone. So funny. That was probably the best job. Well,
Yeah.
Working for, that was definitely the best one. Like, working for Relentless for that summer was awesome. But that was definitely one of the best jobs. And working for John at Nike, well paid as well. Like, Nike pays really well.
And what was the worst job you've ever done? It's got to be the concrete, surely.
Yeah, inside the concrete mixer. Yeah, definitely. that was when but I was really good at it. Like, I was really good at it. I was like, it's kind of satisfying, when you like can watch them YouTube videos when you like it's weirdly satisfying videos. You see someone like, I don't know, bursting a bubble or some weird stuff like that, like just cracking the concrete and then you get this big chunk away. And it was so loud in there, like so loud and dusty and dangerous. But someone's got to do it, Gina. Someone's got to do it. You get like,
You were the man for the job.
good bit of danger money. Mental. Yeah, I'm quite glad I don't do that anymore. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the best.
Mm.
So that was your best job and your worst job?
That was the best job and worst job, yeah. But if we pivot back to some of the earlier snowboard times and the relentless money, it wasn't a lot of money, but I'd get a couple of grand here and there travel budget. And it was a really bad winter here in Austria. And my friend Ollie Plumley, shout out to Ollie Plumley. For some reason, he had like a season pass in Mammoth. Like, he's kind of American. And so he had a season pass there and he's like, dude, let's just go to Mammoth. Like, it's dumping there. The park's amazing there. And I'm like, oh, so call up Relentless. They're like, yeah, we'll like pay for your flights or something. And then like John helped out me get me a really cheap lift pass. So I went on like the shoestring budget. We went to Mammoth, California. But then what was really funny is that we organised it one night and we were flying the next day. And we're in this little pokey apartment in Mayrhofen trying to organise flights back from Innsbruck to London because we're flying out of London the next day.
Right.
And we're like booking flights online, but they wouldn't let the money go through. But I think it was because we were booking them with less than 24 hours to go.
Okay.
This is like going back 15 years before phones. You could book flights on going back to the old ages. And then, so we're trying to book these flights. We can't really book them. Call them up and they're like, just come down to Innsbruck Airport tomorrow. We'll sort it out. So we go down there, go to the like little, Innsbruck Airport's tiny. There's like desk, call this woman and she calls back the phone at Innsbruck Airport. I pick it up and I'm like, hello, Innsbruck Airport. She's like, is that you, Tom West? I'm like, it is. I'm like, this is mad. She's like, I know. Okay. We can't transaction your cards at the moment, but if you just promise when you get to London Heathrow, you will come to the desk and pay us, we'll let you on the flight. And we're like, dude, no worries. Like, thank you so much. That's amazing. For sure, we'll come and give you the money. The flight's delayed for like 2 hours. And by the time we get to London, we're in a bit of a rush. Totally forget about it. Get back to Ollie's house into like transit. And we're like, dude, we never paid for them flights and managed to never pay for the flight to London. So again, then went to Mammoth and lived in a garage for a couple of weeks, which was awesome. That's another story altogether.
Well, tell us about it. What is the story of living in the garage?
So then we fully shoestring budget. Like, Ollie's got a pass. I've got like 3 flights or something. And I'm getting hooked up with kind of passes a bit. This is before Facebook. So we're on MySpace and we're just like looking for people on MySpace that live in Mammoth that maybe we've got friends in common with or something. Like how, we're going to like an internet cafe to do this. So we haven't got iPhones or anything. And then eventually like find some Scottish girl that lets us crash with her for a couple of nights. But the landladies of her apartment, there's like Seasonaires in there. They're 2 lesbians and they're not that stoked on me and Ollie because we're crashing in there. We're just ruining their parade. So we get to stay there for a couple of nights, put our board bags in the garage, which had a PIN code on the door to open the door. And then we were going to get kicked out of there. And we were like, you're idiots. We know the PIN code for your garage. We're just going to go and stay there. Obviously, it was like the coldest Mammoth we'd ever been. So it was like minus 25 at night. So we'd like just go out to the bar till like 11 and then sneak back to this garage and then wake up really early, obviously because it's freezing and uncomfortable as hell, and then just disappear to the pita bread shop, get breakfast, and then go shred all day. So we spent like 4 or 5 nights in that garage. I actually took a girl back there. That was cool. She was very impressed. And then eventually we found another friend who had a couch we could crash on after a few days in the garage. So we go back and sleep at this other friend's house on the couch. And then it turns out the girl I brought back to the garage also lived at the house we were crashing on now with the couch. That was complicated, but yeah, we had a great time there. Awesome. Yeah, amazing. Like so sick. Mammoth was amazing. You just have to make your own luck and just go with the flow sometimes and see what happens. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot of what does happen on season life, isn't it? You don't always know where you're going to end up.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to take a risk or two.
100%, yeah,
but
sure.
It always works out in the end.
Exactly, yeah. There's definitely like the most fond memories I look back on and it's like, how did we do that? Like, I had like 300 quid in my bank. Like, how did we manage to go on holiday to Mammoth for 2 weeks? Technically, Relentless thought we were, shooting photos. I got a few photos. We made a little edit. It was terrible, but yeah, got some clips for some weird movie that no one ever saw. But yeah, awesome time.
And what was the highlight overall of your snowboarding career?
I went to the Brits in Lax for a few years. So the Brits was like the British Championships. In my sort of prime time, it was held in Lax, which is an incredible place in Switzerland. I was riding for Forum, which was also like a sister company of Burton at the time. So Burton would put us up in an apartment for the week, and I think they even hooked up lift passes and stuff. It was pretty sweet. And accommodation. But we had to like pay for the entry to the competition ourselves, whatever. And it cost like 200 quid to register and enter. You had to register these like being part of this association or something. My level was not that good. Like I could do like front sevens. I'd done a sort of wee front 10, but it was not on lock. Like I could do like front sevens and back fives. And at the time that was like quite good. Tyler Sholton was doing like back nine shifties. And Danny Wheeler was doing like switchback nines. And then Louis Peruka, this Kiwi guy who's awesome. And he's living in Mayrhofen. He's still awesome to this day. An amazing shredder. He's also at the Brits and he enters. And it's a knockout format. So it's like me versus Chris Kitely. And that was actually one round and that he lives here now. I think I just did a back one and he just didn't land his front five. So he knocked him out. Got for a couple of knockout rounds. And Louis was on the harder brackets. And Louis knocked out Tyler Shaw and Louis knocked out Danny Wheeler. And Louis knocking out all the heavy hitters. And I slowly managed to get to I was like 4th place. And then Louis wins and it's at the prize given. Just before the prize given, they're like, Louis, you're not English, are you? And he's like, no, bro, it's cool, bro. And it's like, you're not English. Where's your passport? And he's not English. He's Kiwi with a German grandma, which is somehow, I don't know, but he's not English. So they disqualify him. So I get knocked up from 4th to 3rd. So I come 3rd place in the Brits, like big air. It's like pretty big thing. I was like, what? I came 3rd place in the Brits, big air. Like Weaver's like there. Weaver calls my dad. He's like, dude, your son just came 3rd place in the British Championships. Cool. I won £100 worth of trespass vouchers, I think, which was incredible. I think it was actually £100, actually £100 check, which is probably the biggest prize money I ever got, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
That was definitely a highlight. But I think filming for them, the Hunger Pain videos, that was also definitely a highlight for sure. And then we made some like edits. If you Google, Tales from the T-Bar, episode 5 is probably the best one. It's like a Wayne's World tribute. That's definitely the best one. They were really good fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was exactly. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that was awesome fun making them. Like such an amazing time. I was happy. I was so happy to have had the time I had, and I'd like to travel more. But I suit a sort of 9-to-5 job where it's just like I just go to work and do the thing and then finish.
Yeah.
And then don't have to take it home, or like that's my sort of mentality, is that like I just go to work, do the job, and then leave, and then have fun. It's like I'm not that good at sort of creating my own enterprise, or I'm not that sort of person really.
I actually read a little bit about you earlier today in John's book, The Anti-Blueprint Project, which actually says that he admires that about you, that you enjoy your work, but you don't have that responsibility or worry on your head. You just want to enjoy your time and get the funds to do what you want to do. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, 100%. Like I admire so much what John's done, and it's incredible to see how people can do that. And it's awesome. And it's like, definitely you can create a really good life for yourself doing that, working from home and just being your own boss and everything. But yeah, some people don't fit that mold, and I definitely don't really. Like, it's way easier for me to just go to work 9 to 5 or whatever, and then party and have a good time and go mountain biking or whatever in the free time. Like myself, like discipline is maybe not so good. All I wanted to do, like, so this is kind of funny. Like when I was about 12, 13, me and my dad were snowboarding in Switzerland together, and we were snowboarding until the last lifts, last day. It was like good powder day, amazing place in Evelyn, this little village. And then we missed the last ski bus home. And as we were walking back, we had to walk like a few kilometers back to the chalet. And me and my dad were like singing together. And I just saw how happy he was. And I was like, oh man, like all I want to do is live in a ski village, in a ski town. I didn't really care what I'd be doing. At the time, I was like 12, 13. And I was like, even if I just drive the ski bus, because it made me so happy to go on that ski bus. It was like taking me to this magical destination where we go snowboarding. I was like, even if I just drive the ski bus, I'll be happy because I'm taking people to Narnia and they can go snowboarding. So like my main goal was to like drive a ski bus in a ski resort when I was 12. So set your goals low, and then you can achieve them quite easily. You know what I mean? Like, my goal was to be a bus driver in a ski resort. And, I still haven't made it that far yet. I need to get the bus driver license, and then maybe one day, maybe one day in another 20 years, I can be that bus driver guy. But yeah, all I wanted to do was just live in a ski town, and create your own path, and set your goals very low, and you can achieve them.
Which is pretty much the opposite of what John said.
Yeah.
However, you're both very happy people in what you do. So, exactly, it is about what your objective is, isn't it? And your objective is to be in a place that you enjoy being and do the activities that you want to do. And you love it here.
Yeah,
so. Exactly.
I just wanted to live. It wasn't Mayrhofen. I didn't choose Mayrhofen, but like Mayrhofen chose me, But no, it's just like I just wanted to live in the mountains somewhere where there was snow in the winter. And then, we went on a couple of summer holidays to a place in Switzerland. And again, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like we went hiking in the mountains, and I was like, yeah, just get me here. I just want to live in the mountains, basically. Mm-hmm. And
because you do a lot of other sports here, don't you? Yeah,
I cycle. I could just go into downhill biking, which is mental, but so awesome, so much fun. It's literally the closest thing I can see to snowboarding, like racing down, chasing your friends in the woods, out of control. So gnarly, but just getting the lifts up in the summer. And the trails around here are incredible.
You do a fair bit of climbing as well?
Klettersteig, yeah. You could call it climbing. It's like climbing for dummies. But around most of the apps, they've got them all over the place, and you can just sort of go after work. Yeah, it's super easy, super accessible. Once you've got the setup, it's like 50 euros, and you can just go whenever you want. And there's always a bar at the top giving you a beer and schnapps, which is awesome.
There's something I did actually want to talk to you about, and it is, again, going back to what John wrote in the Anti-Blueprint Project.
Yeah.
It's about you...
Great book.
A great book. Sold out now.
Sold out, really? They have to print some more copies.
That's what I told him, yeah.
Yeah.
In the book, John mentions that you decided to do a marathon in an Iron Maiden t-shirt with not so much training behind you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, complete lies, basically. Yeah, no, it was a jet black t-shirt, and I did loads of training. Like, yeah, I am. So going back to when I was like early 20s, living with Sylvia and the Hunsbigglers in the hotel, and yeah, eating excessive amounts of cordon bleus and pommes and Fanta on tap.
You were Fanta face at this point,
yeah, exactly,
is that right?
Fanta face.
Right,
and then
okay.
I was like, but then I think also broke my leg around that time, and I was like trying to get back to sort of fitness, I guess, to go to New Zealand. And then I was like, so getting on the bike quite a lot. My mum and dad were both pretty athletic sort of people. My dad had run marathons when I was younger. My mum ran a marathon when I had my broken leg, actually. She ran the London Marathon. Yeah, I was like, and I was putting on a bit of weight. And I wasn't like obese or anything, I had a bit of a Fanta face, so started biking and then slowly sort of got into running. And then, yeah, just sort of weirdly became like addicted or obsessed with it. Like it's sort of a form of meditation.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, being able to turn your mind off for 20 minutes, half an hour and a half, however long you run for. And really sort of, I enjoy the feeling when you get home from it. I don't enjoy running. No one does. But it was nice. You put your shoes on, lace up. The first kilometre is maybe all right. And then the next however many kind of, just get through them. But that feeling when you get home is amazing. And if you go up a hill or the runner's high or whatever they call it, incredible. Yeah. And then so did like a few 10Ks or little half marathons. And I said to my mum, I was like, yeah, I could run a marathon under 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And she's like, nah, like you can't do that. That's mental. And then I think that put something in my head. I was like, nah, all right, I'm going to run a marathon under 3 hours. And sort of said that to my parents. And my dad was like, you're the only one that can do it. And that really sort of stood out for me. And like, I never really took much of my dad's advice. He was always like, oh, get a trade, do this. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to do my own thing. And then but I think it was about running. He was like, you're the only one that can do it. And I was like, yeah. So like took that as I was running and training for the marathon. By now I had like, and a sort of semi-smartphone, I guess, and some running shoes and headphones, and was like, and she comes on and tells you how fast you're going, and so I could really sort of train for that. And I knew I was quick enough, and then did a marathon in Munich under 3 hours, and did that 2 years in a row. And then my sister was like, oh, that's such a good time, it qualifies you for London. So then I went and did the London Marathon. So I was with like the elite people. It's mental. Like I'm there with like, I dressed up in my mum's running vest and had like pigtails and lipstick on and eyeliner and then run the London Marathon like that. And then, so I did that. And I think my dad did it the same year. And then my dad was like, Tom, if you can qualify for New York, I will pay for me or my sister. By this time my mum had passed. Okay. So that's why I was like doing it in dedication for my mum as well. Like dressed up like her, like wore her running vest and stuff. Aww. And, she came to see me in Munich, actually. She came to see me across the line before when I was like 2 hours 58. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe you broke 3 hours. So then anyway, fast forward, I did the London one once, doing it again. And Dad's like, if you can do the time for New York, I'll pay for you, me and your sister to go to New York and you can run the New York Marathon. And I was like, well, it's 2:53. Like, that is heavy. Like shaving off 7 minutes or 7 minutes is like, I'm already running so fast. But he's also running and he's also doing it like the same, he's in his 60s doing the same sort of thing. And then I just felt good on the day. It was hot and sunny day, but yeah, feeling good, gets the halfway thing. And I'm like, I'm killing it. I'm just like Eminem, like, yeah, he's got one chance to just go for it. So fully just sent it. And yeah, did the London one in 2 hours 50 the second time. Wow. Which qualified me again as like an elite runner for New York. But my dad also did the exact same thing for his age category.
Oh, wow.
So then we both qualified for New York. So then he had to get his credit card out and then pay for me, my sister and him to fly to New York and run the New York Marathon, which is incredible as well. Like, so we got to go start on the Staten Island near the, what's her face?
The Statue of Liberty.
Exactly, yeah, her. And then go over the bridges and ride through the 5 boroughs and finish in Central Park. Like, incredible. Like, so sick.
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very important for people to have something like for your mind. Like for me, it's like almost like meditation running. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good for anyone in general to have. I think sports is very good, whether it's running or skating or cycling or yoga or just stretching, anything, but just something to keep your mind stimulated as while your body is also mind, body and soul. Like,
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed when I did that. That was awesome.
And your dad did well as well.
Yeah, and he
That's
did the exact
so
same
good.
thing for his age group. Yeah, it was incredible.
Shout out to Pete.
Shout out to Pete West, massively.
I actually met your dad before I met you.
Really? Before you met me? No way.
Yeah.
Oh, he'd love to be here right now, I tell you.
Well, perhaps
Can't
he can
wait
come
to
on.
Oh, he'd be a good one, yeah. He didn't. No, he definitely didn't do a Seasonaire lifestyle. Though. He lived a very blueprint project lifestyle, which I think he likes to almost, maybe not, but like I think he's quite maybe sometimes a little bit proud of sort of how I live my life, but because he lived such a blueprint lifestyle, I think it was different for them growing up. Though my granddad was in the Second World War. So when he came out of that, he came out of the Second World War, had my dad and his sister, and it's like you're just so happy to be alive and have opportunities to go to college and get a degree and do a real job.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's just what you do, and you just
it
appreciate
was a privilege.
that. So my dad did that whole thing, and did amazing at it. And has a great life and has done amazing things. But, the option of taking a gap year or doing seasons just wasn't there when my dad was growing up.
Yeah.
So then literally I'm one of the first generations that had that opportunity to do them things. And it's like, they don't want to say no because they're like, well, this sounds like cool, but it's also like, but you need the security. And it's like, well, yeah, just see where this goes and see what happens. But yeah, definitely, like, I feel so lucky to have had the opportunities because it wasn't always there for our parents and everything.
Yeah. So another thing that the listeners might be interested in is the fact that you were in a band.
Mm-hmm.
And not just any band.
No, they do. We've got the soundtrack for this podcast, haven't we?
Exactly. Mondo Wave.
Probably the world's greatest punk band to come out of Schwendau in the last 3 years. Yeah, questionable, but definitely on par with any other punk band that's come out of Schwendau, Zillertal, in the last couple of years. But
Yep.
Yeah, we're all right. We have a good time. We enjoy it.
Tell us a bit about how that came about.
So yeah, I've been playing drums since I was 14, 15, I guess. And then used to play in a band in England before I went to college called Snot Rocket. We were awesome. And then went to college, started playing another band, and then started snowboarding. So like gave up on music completely. Didn't play drums for ages, which was sad because I really enjoyed playing drums. Like we used to play some concerts and stuff. Like we played in Milton Keynes at the Pits. We supported Sponge, and we used to support Skirbox, who were Jet Black. Like we played some amazing shows, but but then snowboarding took over. Left the music aside for a while. Yeah, it was quite a few years later. Then randomly met a guy at the bar here in Mayrhofen called Phil, who was like, dude, like in his Brummie accent, he's like, dude, I hear you like punk music and you play drums. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. And he's like, I've got some drums and I've got a fucking guitar. Let's jam it out. So then next thing, me and Phil are annoying the hell out of his neighbours and just having the best time. And then we had the bass player called Steph, who was AKA Sexy Jesus. Shout out to Sexy Jesus. And then we just started jamming with them. And then we played at the end of that season. We played in Scotland Yard. Had a little gig, which was like so fun to like be playing music again, just with some friends. Like we still are pretty terrible, but like just so fun to just be playing with music with your friends, and then playing live at the end of the season, and all your Seasonaire homies come out and watch you. And then so Sexy Jesus left after that season. Then we managed to get Brian, who would be awesome on this podcast as well, actually. Brian Wolf. Mm-hmm. He's from Minnesota. How do you say Minnesota? I think it's Minnesota. Yeah. He's from America anyway. And he's been in Europe now for a while, and incredible bass player. Plays like a 5-string fretless bass. He's got a really interesting story. He's a bit older than me, and amazing snowboarder, downhill biker, like such an awesome rad guy. When we managed to snake him off another local band, and then we like lured him into our band. We're like, we play punk and we're more cool. So we got Brian in the band, and then we, for like a year or two, we became like the local pub, Scotland Yard, the sort of house band, and played like 3 or 4 gigs during the winter, and just love just playing live and playing punk and annoying people. But then we play, it's not all that heavy punk. It's like a bit of some slow songs, some covers, a bit of everything.
Cool. Yeah, I actually didn't realise you guys haven't been going that long. You sound like you've been together for ages.
Yeah, Gina, that's just,
Professionals.
Yeah, well, I say we're not that good, but obviously we're incredible. No. Me and Phil have probably been playing for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years maybe. Yeah, we don't practice that often, but we've got band practice tomorrow night, actually.
Cool.
If you're in the Spandau region, come and stand outside in the streets. You can hear it from miles away. It's very loud.
Thanks for letting me use the track for the podcast.
I had no idea about it until I heard it.
Did you not?
Oh, yeah, that's us. Whoa, cool. Wicked. That actually sounds all right.
Yeah, Phil let me have it. Phil's been mentioned on this podcast quite a few times.
He's also got quite a funny story. Like his whole Soul Saver board sports thing's really cool.
Yeah, he's due to come on, but
I think he got fired from over. I think he's got fired from every job he's ever had. So he'd be quite an interesting guy to come on. I think it's like 20 jobs. I've never been fired from, and I got made redundant from a soap factory once. But I've never been fired from any job.
Factory.
Yeah, I was working in a soap factory when I was at college. Just after college job. That pays me to go to Japan, actually.
Ah.
Not snowboarding, but that was just random. My first girlfriend was half Japanese. But then anyway, I've got made redundant from there, but I've never ever been fired from any job. Whereas Phil has been fired from every job he's ever had. Definitely get him on the podcast, for sure.
Well, he's been mentioned in at least 3. Now, I think this is the 4th podcast that he's been mentioned in. For sure, Phil will be on.
Cool.
For sure. Going back to the whole season life.
Yeah.
Have there been any kind of points that stand out to you as a challenge, something that was challenging to you?
I don't know, I guess, the main thing would be the language barrier. Like, it would have helped a lot earlier on if I could have spoke German. But then, I never knew growing up that I wanted to live in Austria. Mm-hmm. We learnt French and Spanish at school, which doesn't help at all. I think the only thing I can say in Spanish is un sacapuntas. And whenever I say that to a Spanish person, they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, it means pencil sharpener. And they're like, it doesn't. And I'm like, okay, I can't speak any Spanish. But I thought I could say pencil sharpener, but it turns out I can't. But yeah, I didn't learn German at school. But you don't know where you're going to, unless you're like 12 and you're like, I want to live in Germany, which is mental. Yeah, so I think, language barrier is probably the biggest challenge, I guess.
The question that sparked John's book was, what would you tell your teenage self? I'm going to ask that question to you now, Tom. What would you tell your teenage self? Just
like, don't get stressed. Don't let all these little problems that seem at the time like really big. Just really just enjoy it. Like, yeah. I'd get worried about the little things. Well, not even that worried about it, but it's just like, don't let them little things worry. Don't stress about like whatever it is. Just literally just enjoy it because you're only here once. Just make the most of it. Like, just appreciate what you have and don't worry about the things you don't have because you always want more. Yeah, if you can just be happy with what you've got. And obviously you want a few bigger things and you should definitely have small goals and maybe a big goal at the end, Never be like, I don't have that. Like, But you can get that if you want it. If that's what you really want, then just go and get it. Whatever it is.
And what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, a good question. Could be what my dad said to me. I think it was about running. I think it was about trying to do the marathon under 3 hours. I think it was also related to like getting a job and getting an apprenticeship and trying to do something more with my life than just being a snowboard bum. But it was like, you're the only person that can do this. It's you. Like, no one else is going to do this for you. If you want that, you have to do it yourself. And then that really helped me a lot when I was running. I was like, right, I want to run this time under a certain time or whatever. I want to do this. And that came into my head quite a lot. Like, you're the only person that can do this. So yeah, if you really want something, it's you're the only person that can do it. Like, for sure, people can help you out, but it's up to you. And that was pretty good bit of advice, I think. And
is that a quote you live by, or are there any other quotes you live by?
I don't know if it's in a film or in a song, but it's like, bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. That's just the way it is. Like, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. There's that song 99 or Sunscreen or something. Yeah, that whole song's like sort of live my life by that a bit.
Baz Luhrmann.
Exactly. Yeah, that song. Yeah.
Sunscreen.
Do one thing every day that scares you. Like, the whole song is just basically like quotes on, a good sort of way to live your life. And that whole song is awesome. Yeah.
Cool. In terms of snowboarding, where is the best place you've ever snowboarded?
I can't tell you, Gina, because then I'd have to kill you.
Fair play.
No, but like, yeah, literally, I don't want to sound too much like Henry Jackson, but like, yeah, if I tell you all the best spots, then there's going to be more people there and they're not going to be that good anymore.
Can you narrow it down to a country?
Okay, so I'll definitely say Zillertal has like some of my favorite spots for sure. Like, there's some amazing backcountry here that's super accessible from the lifts that you don't even have to hike to. Like, if you know where you're going, if you follow Steve Gruber, follow Henry Jackson, or you could even follow me sometimes. You might get a bit stuck if you follow me. Like, I might take you down the wrong bit. Follow Rolly. He'll take you down like 5 avalanche barriers in a row. And if you don't die, he'll have had the best run ever. But yeah, no, I think and because I know it so well, I think I just love snowboarding here. When the snow's good, here's my like favorite place to snowboard for sure.
Yeah.
I've never been to Japan though. I'd like to go there. What
was your experience of the pandemic like? Where were you? What were you doing? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like, yeah, I was at work and then working on the mountain, and the mountain boss comes around and he's like, yo, we're shutting on Sunday. Sunday's the last day. So that was on the Friday. So I come down, I've got the weekend off anyway. So I'm like, sweet, I've got the weekend off. And it was like Bluebird sunny weekend. And everyone's like, well, this is, it's all kind of exciting. It's like, this is a bit mad, but we're all going snowboarding the weekend. It's Bluebird, like slushy sunny day. So I come up to Penken, just shredding Penken. My dad's here with his lady friend, Lady Anne. Hello, Anne. They're all here, and they're due to like drive back a week later or something to England. But we all go up to Penken on the Sunday, and there's like a bunch of us like shredding around together. All the tourists are sort of leaving, evacuating. But there's like this big crew of Seasonaires, which was stupid in hindsight. Like, we're hanging out with like a couple of barmen, and then, everyone's like sharing beers and like being a bit wild. And we had this barbecue afterwards. And then, so my dad like disappeared like the next day. He's like, we're getting out of here. They flew back. They got out of here before it got a bit wild. And then for like full lockdown came in. Obviously we all got it. And I got it pretty bad actually. Like, I was okay. Like, had the full like back pain, fever and everything. Thought that was all right. But mine was kind of weird actually. Like, so it happened in March, but the November before, I was actually doing a park run in England, a 5K park run. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard about them. Amazing event. They do them every Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Bunch of local people meet up in the park and run 5K. And it's for like pregnant women, people with dogs, young kids, old people, like anyone can run. And it's a timed event. And it's like such a good social 5K thing. Yeah. Really like a fun run. So I was doing one of them in Milton Keynes. And I got there and I was like, didn't think I'd probably win because it was Milton Keynes. There'd be lots of people, but there wasn't anyone who looked too fast. And I was like, I've got this. So I start running. There's a guy with a pushchair at the front. And I was like, I'm not letting him beat me. And then the next opponent's a guy in a beanie. And I was like, I'm not getting a kid with a beanie beat me. So I just fully send it. And then I won the 5K run. It wasn't like the best time I'd ever done. Like, it was like 19 minutes, but anyway, won the run. But as halfway around it, like, I felt something weird in my chest and couldn't really tell what it was. Finished the run, and the whole drive back home, I had like sort of problems breathing or something. I wasn't really sure what it was. Didn't tell anyone about it. And then it happened a few times in December, like early winter, when I was doing like running. I was like, maybe it's the cold or something. Like, just had this like weird chest problems. Literally didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't want to, I don't know, just didn't want to speak about it. And then after I had corona for like the first few days, kind of went away. I got tested. I was tested positive for sure. I had to like lock down. And then after like a few days, feeling better again. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, there's that pain again, that weird pain in my chest. And I thought it was like my lungs or neck or something. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And then after 3 or 4 days, basically like had to call an ambulance.
Oh, wow.
So then the ambulance picked me up and I was like, hey, I'm not that bad, but like maybe I need like some checkup or something. So then they took me down to Schwarz, like the local hospital. But I've been doing like workouts at home and stuff. So I've been like sort of overdoing it a little bit, but not too much. But then it came to the point when I couldn't do the washing up, couldn't do anything. I was trying to watch Tiger King and I was like, oh my God, like even this is sending, maybe that was what sent me over the edge, but Anyway, go down to Schwarz.
This is the first time the Tiger King has been mentioned in my podcast.
Good, and hopefully the last. But it was good, wasn't it? I loved it. I loved it. Anyway, then go down to Schwarz in the ambulance, and I'm like, I'm not too bad. Like, seems a bit excessive. Go down there, and they start doing some like random blood checks and everything, and they're like, yeah. Like, this is the same shit we get every day. And then all of a sudden, he's like looking at the graphs, and he's like, whoa, like calls up another doctor, and the other doctor comes down. I'm like lying there. Okay, this looks a bit weird, and then he's like, whoa, like looking at all the charts and the graphs and stuff. And then he's like, dude, next thing there's like 3 doctors down there. They're all like conversing. They're like, I'm like, what is going on? He's like, okay, do you have pain here? Do you have this? Do you have this? And they're like, okay, right. You've basically had a heart attack. I'm like, what? A heart attack? I don't think I've had a heart attack. And so then they're like, okay, put me on this drip, give me these tablets. I drink this like stuff that was like magic potion that made me feel incredible. And then next thing, this is like James Bond ambulance that turns up, like fully blacked out. I like go into the back of there, and there's this doctor who's fully like James Bond. He was incredible. Like, I fell in love with him straight away. He was just like, he just run shit. Put in the back of the ambulance, and then by now I'm like high on morphine and like all these pills, and I had this drip and stuff. And then they like bomb me down to Innsbruck, and there's no traffic because it's full lockdown, and we are charging down to Innsbruck in the middle of the night, and then get there. Doors open, bust open. I'm straight up to the emergency theatre. They put a weird like thing into a vein at the top of your leg near your balls, which is the biggest vein in your body that goes to your heart.
Right.
So that was basically a camera that went into my heart. And then they checked around, and he was like, oh, okay, Mr. West, you haven't had a heart attack. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think I'd had a heart attack. But they were like,
oh my God.
But like, you have 5, what are they, 5 valves? Or what are they? I don't know. Anyways, one of them was like a bit strained. So it was like straining, I'd like to say it's like straining a muscle. So like when I had that run, I basically stretched a muscle in my calf or something, but it was on my heart. And it was always a bit, it never had time to heal. So it was still always a bit strained. So then the corona sort of got in there and then affected it. And then basically for 2.5 months, I was on like sick pay. So I just had to chill for 2.5 months.
Wow.
So I was in intensive care during corona, like opposite people on ventilator machines. All the staff are in like full, like radioactive gear. I'm feeling like, oh my God, I feel kind of bad because I feel totally fine. But it made the whole lockdown thing a bit more interesting. Like being in intensive care for 4 days, like seeing that whole stuff going on. I was there for like a week. And, but yeah, came out and yeah, genuinely like lucky to be alive. And like, I had like CT scans on my heart and all over my body and everything, but it was actually, totally fine. Just had to chill for like 2.5 months. Like wasn't allowed to run, bike, mad. Like had to keep my heart rate under like, a certain, under like 90 or something, or the whole time. Yeah. If I'd have kept on doing stuff, I eventually could have just had a heart attack. You had to have 2.5 months or 3 months to let the muscle repair in my heart.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy times. But actually, I think being here, like I was so lucky to have been in this little mountain village when it's been on. Like I could not picture, like when I came out of hospital in Innsbruck, literally like I was so happy to just be alive and then walking around. Innsbruck was still on full lockdown, and you just look up and you see people in their windowsills, like trying to give it a sunlight. They weren't allowed to really go on walks. They weren't allowed to hike around and stuff. Like here, we were so much luckier to live in this little mountain village. It was amazing to be here during that period. And yeah.
From doing season life, do you think it has taught you anything?
Yeah, I think it definitely teaches you to just be more open to anyone from any background or any culture or religion or whatever, and just be like, yeah, whatever, like, what up? It doesn't matter where you're from or what your background is. Like, we're shredding. Let's just have fun. Yeah, that's maybe like one of the best things I learned, maybe. Yeah.
My next question is, what is the best thing about doing season work?
Well, for me, obviously choosing snowboard seasons, snowboarding. But yeah, just traveling just broadens your mind and horizons and just opens your mind to lots more cultures and people and all of that. And that's just such an awesome thing.
You have done a bit of travelling, and I have to ask this question because it's my mum's favourite question.
Okay.
Is there something you take with you everywhere you travel?
A 6-pack of condoms.
I actually don't doubt that.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. A family pack of condoms. No.
There you go, Mum.
Nah, like, I don't know. Not really. No. Passport and wallet. flip-flop. It depends where you're going, though, doesn't it? Like, if you're going snowboarding, take your snowboard. If you're not, take your golf clubs or your surfboard or something else. Like, take your bike. I don't know. Yeah, but there's nothing.
The condoms was enough.
You can put that in a family pack of condoms.
So, where is it that you call home?
Neue Burgstall. Neue Burgstall. It's in Zillertal. It's just down the road from Mayrhofen. In between Mayrhofen and Schwendau. Yeah, it's just a very tiny little village. It's basically Mayrhofen, basically. But yeah, I'd definitely call that home. I think, yeah, I've been here for pretty much more than I've been anywhere else. Even England, I'm getting close to that now.
Is there anything that you miss about living in the UK?
Crisps. I do enjoy the small packs of crisps you get there, and Branston pickle. For sure, England's always home, but yeah, and it's getting closer and closer. Like this is my home now for sure. But yeah, I do miss Branston pickle crisps. The cheddar's getting hit pretty good here now. The sunsets are really nice in England. Like playing golf till like the sun goes down, because here obviously the sun goes down the mountain way earlier. Like it's still sunlight, but like we lose the sun at like 6-7 o'clock. Like, and I remember playing golf in England till like, just hanging out in the field with your buddies, like drinking beers until like 10 o'clock in the full sunlight. Like, obviously we can go up the mountain and get the sun way longer, but then you have to get back down when you start work at 6 a.m. That's not so easy. But no, I wouldn't trade it for the world for sure.
Are there any opportunities that stand out for you that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't have done season work?
Yeah, loads, like so many, like the whole Quicksilver tour, working for Relentless that summer. I don't know, yes, so many, like, yeah, going to New Zealand, meeting so many amazing people, like everything, basically, everything, yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to go and do seasons, what would it be?
Just do it. Yeah, really, just do it. Just, yeah, I mean, nowadays with internet and stuff, you can Google everything, but I'd say almost don't Google too much. Just like think of what you want to do and roughly where you want to go, and then maybe don't Google too much and don't like look for too much advice. Just go and do it, because that's when you're going to make the best experiences. Like if you don't have a fixed plan, if you think, right, I want to go surfing in wherever or do whatever, like just come up with the main idea and then just go and do it. And the less plan you have, the better, because that's when the more fun stuff happens. And that's when you're open to more ideas and more fun things happen. When you got it all fixed out and stuff, for sure. You gotta have like a main goal and a main sort of rough idea of what you're doing, but yeah, don't
like to be a bus driver.
Exactly, yeah. Eventually, one day, hopefully
you'll get there.
I'll be driving that bus.
I enjoyed that. If you hadn't have ventured out and gone and done your first season, where do you think you'd be now?
Probably 6 feet under. No, I don't know.
Depressing.
I've no idea. Like, no idea. Like, since I was so young, since I first strapped in on a snowboard, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do, and never even questioned about doing anything else. Yeah, never even thought about living in England. Or really, no idea. Probably just working on some building site in England, like playing in a band, like probably weighing a lot, like double the size that I do now, eating chips. I have like 3 crazy children, horrible wife that I hated. Probably my second wife by now. Yeah, probably suck. Like
you're still there in that cement mixer.
Yeah, exactly.
Chipping away.
Yeah, like loads of responsibilities that I really didn't want. Yeah, probably suck. I don't know. Yeah.
You do have a very positive way of thinking.
PMA.
Yeah, you've got the PMA.
You've got the PMA.
Positive mental attitude.
That's I don't know. It's very nice for you to say something like that. But yeah, I don't see myself as someone that's overly positive or something. I guess it's from my mum. Like my mum always taught me to just be just appreciate what you've got. Just like get on with it. Especially, I think maybe it was more after. So she got diagnosed with cancer when I was like 21, 22. And then my mum and dad were very sort of, didn't really tell me too much about it. But then, yeah, it turns out it was a lot worse than it thought it was. And then that came apparent. And then she had chemo and everything, went through that for the first time. That was horrific for our whole family. And then it was like, I think she always knew she would had maybe, 5, 10, who knows how long left. But she always she was like so positive and just about everything. Just enjoy every minute you have, because this can all just disappear so quickly. And I think that really made me sort of, look at things in a different way. And she was just so incredibly positive about it. My dad just handled it in the best way, like, possible. And I think that was like quite a big thing. Like, going through something like that, you just realize that, this can all just disappear tomorrow. Like, just make the most of what you got right now, because it's good, like, and it's fun. Like, for sure, everyone has bad days no matter what, but like, this is all, you can always find the best out of any situation. Like, but yeah, I think when you go through like something like that as a family, like, it really just hopefully only brings out the best. You can only just remember the good times, and it can only, hopefully you can build from that. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic advice. Yeah. And it sounds like your mum was an amazing lady.
Oh, she was rad. She was awesome. Yeah. And she ran the London Marathon. So I watched her do that, and that sort of inspired me to do it. And she did it after she had breast cancer. They took a chunk out of her boob and stuff. Then she recovered from it, and then ran the marathon after she'd recovered from breast cancer, and did it for breast cancer care.
Incredible.
And then, so that was like awesome. And she went to meet Sherry Blair. Like, it was the time when Tony Blair was in power, and she got invited to 10 Downing Street. And then she's got this picture with Sherry Blair, and it's funny as hell, because my mum's like, I'm going to 10 Downing Street. I'm going to meet Sherry Blair. So my mum's all like dolled up. Mum's looking like so hot and like so badass. Sherry Blair literally just like, she looks like she's been dragged out of a hedge backwards. Like, she looks terrible. We've got this like framed picture of my mum like shaking Sherry Blair's hand. Mum looks badass, and Sherry Blair just looks rough as hell. But yeah, it's funny. But yeah, like, mum was, amazing inspiration. And then, definitely, for sure, she was always rad, and like, but like, going through that illness, like, really just makes you appreciate life, and just makes you think, come on, let's just get on with it, because literally this can happen to anyone. She never smoked. She was always quite a healthy person. Like, it was like, just breast cancer happens to, well, I don't know what the percentages of women now, but we're all going to die. Like, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your mum's name?
Anita.
Oh, Anita West.
Anita West. Yeah, she's the best.
Were you already away doing season work when your mum passed away?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, she got diagnosed when I was in my sort of early 20s. I was living at Sylvia's hotel.
Right.
And then they didn't really let on how bad it was. And then it came apparent. I was like, what? She's in chemo? No way. Like, and then it was like, so I'd go back and see, and it was like pretty terrible. But then she battled it, and it was all good. And then literally she was all good again. Like, it took her like a year or something. And then she was all good. And then skiing and running again. Then she did the London Marathon, did all this stuff, and it was like all good. And then they always sort of knew it was going to come back. They didn't really tell me this stuff, and then eventually it came back, and it was like super bad when it eventually came back. This was like 5 years ago, I guess. Then it came back pretty bad, but then it was crazy. Like, the doctor said to my dad, he was like, she's got like 48 hours to live. So it was like, wow. What? No way. Like, so there's like, Tom, fly back home tomorrow. Like, next flight I could get. Like, flew back home, hanging out in the hospital, me, my dad, my sister, for like overnight, and then we got to take mum back home. Then this random specialist like called my dad up. Was like, oh yeah, dude, like, I think she needs to take this. Like, I've been thinking about it all night. It was so nice of him, like, out of work, and just like randomly called my dad's mobile and was like, she needs this. Like, get to the hospital. So he had there's like some sort of steroids or something. They gave her 48 hours to live, and she lived for another year. Oh, so it's like crazy. So like, after 2 weeks, my dad was like, like, she things seem to go getting better. Like, obviously nothing's going to be rosy again, but she lived for another year. And then so it gave my mum and dad this like almost like gap year. So they like did loads. They didn't go too far, like but they went to Rome, and they did a bunch of stuff. Like, they traveled around in the car, and she was obviously still pretty sick and stuff, but she could had this like one last amazing year, and then which was awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah. She sounds like a very inspiring woman.
Oh, 100%. Definitely all the family. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you. Before you arrived, I put a little post up on Instagram asking if anyone of our friends had any questions for you. And I'd also already had a message from one of your friends randomly. Chat.
Oh, not Chris Chat.
Yeah. And I was worried because he sent me this message and I was like, oh no, what's he going to ask? Am I going to actually be able to ask it? Is it going to be too much for the show?
Yeah.
But it was a nice question. I was shocked. I was surprised. So I will start with his. He wants to know, he said, hey Westy, it's your boy Chat here. So cool that you're 37, still doing seasons and living the dream. An inspiration to us all back here in the UK. So keep up some sort of work.
yeah.
So keep up
some sort of work. Yeah. I work full time. Not really a season. I live it and work a full time job. But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. What's the question?
He wants to know, what has been your best winter or season to date and why?
Oh, good question.
It's a good one, right?
It's a good question, yeah. Oh, that's hard. I don't know. I remember doing my first season and some people saying, this will be your best one ever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Then definitely from then it just progressed and I just had like more fun, like different things happen. And I had like so many good ones, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, there was one a couple of years ago when it dumped. Like, it was like the best winter for snow ever.
Yeah.
Like, that was incredible. Probably, if I had to say one, I'd maybe just go back and say that first one because everything was new. Everything was fresh. Like, I was only 18. Like, you know, when you're like 12 and the school holidays feels like forever and it's 6 weeks. Like, that 6 months when I was 18 felt like, it did feel like quite a long time. Like now a season goes by like that. And I'm like, oh, what? Is that another one? Yep, summer, golf, well, whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that first ever season I did in France, just because everything was new and fresh and it just seemed to last forever. And it was just, yeah. If I had to pick one right off the top of my head now, first one.
That'd be it.
Yeah.
There we go. And going to these questions on Instagram, there's not so many. I thought there'd be more. But
I think there are a few, Gina, but they're all just rubbish, aren't they?
Well, Ashlyn Kite, who we need to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
She's not here at the moment. She's in the UK. She said it's dangerous to ask you questions. Caitlin wants to know what your craziest story is.
I cannot tell you that.
Okay. Any memorable stories that you haven't been through already that you can tell us? You've told us loads.
Yeah, I think I've told a few good ones.
I like the garage one.
With the girl?
Yes, good.
Like, it's like, you know, it's like very mischievous, but like, we didn't do any harm. We didn't do anything wrong. It's like, we know that, yeah, it's like, them sort of things are pretty good. That's a good one. And
Loz wants to know who's the hottest guy you've ever kissed.
Oh, whoa. Well, that's definitely a toss-up between John Reaver or Roland Morley Brown. However, I mean, I would say technically John is hotter, but the kiss I had with Rowley was maybe hotter.
Yeah. Who's the best kisser? Rowley?
Yeah, Rowley's, yeah, John was good back in the day, but Rowley's definitely more keen now. We can't put all this in, this is bad.
All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it up, but I do have one last question to ask you, and it's a question that I ask all my guests, and it is, do you have anyone you want to nominate to come on the show? Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into thinking about this. I genuinely did. Like, after listening to Rowley's one, I was like, dude, get Rowley's mum on there. What's her name? Jenny Brown. Jenny Brown. Jenny, Rowley's mum. For sure. Get her on there because, yeah, Rowley's like such a cool, interesting story. And then it was amazing to hear that his mum had done seasons in Switzerland and stuff. She's from New Zealand. Like, and that was years ago, like back in the day. Obviously, it's maybe not relevant to kids nowadays doing seasons, but I just think it'd be so cool to listen to, and so just interesting to hear about like how it was. And you know, this is way before internet and stuff, like, so that it's like such an inspirational story. Yeah, and she's for sure got some stories. Yeah, definitely, she's going to be cool. So yeah, definitely get Rowley's mum on here. For anyone that wants to check out Rowley's podcast, it's episode number 6. So check that out, and then definitely check it out because he also nominated you. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to name Rowley's mum. And then I'd say, like I said about Phil and Brian from the band earlier, get Brian on here. Phil will be good. Mm-hmm. Brian will be really cool because he's from America. So his one's definitely a bit different as well, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, maybe Chris Chat. He's got a quite cool one. Emily Craft. Yeah, I can keep nominating people for ages. Like, Emily Craft's pretty cool and she'll be cool. She was the girl I met in my first ever season. And now she's like she drives the boats from Dover to Calais. Right. Now she does that. Like, she did a bunch of seasons all over the place and she's awesome. And
yeah, now she's like, maybe not captain, but she's pretty high up on like ships.
Wow.
And she drove like ships around like from Indonesia to Australia, delivering oil. Like she's got a cool, crazy story, mainly about Seasonaires, and it all came down to like trying to get a job where you didn't have to work 9 to 5 in the office. Like, but yeah, she'd be cool.
Tom, thanks for coming on the show. Anything that you want to promote or anything you want to add?
No, I think I've said way too much really.
Cool. Thanks for coming in and giving me the time. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Wicked.
Cheers. So there you have it, Tom West, ladies and gentlemen. And what a legend to end season 1 with. Thanks again to Tom for coming on the show today and sharing his awesome stories. If you want to hear more from Mondo Wave, including our title track for the podcast, head over to Spotify now or click the link in the show notes. It'll take you directly to their EP, Quarantine Dream. A huge thank you to all my incredible guests who've been a part of season 1. It's been an absolute blast. And a massive thank you to you guys for tuning in. We've just hit 2,000 listens this week, which is absolutely incredible and means everything. So thank you so, so much. We're going to take a short break, but in the meantime, head over to Instagram and give us a follow at that Seasonaire podcast, where we'll be bringing you all the latest updates on new shows, Instagram lives, and up-to-date release information. And remember, if you're enjoying the content that I've been making for you, then you can now buy me a coffee via the link in the show notes. And again, another huge thank you to you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon for season 2. Take care, guys. You can now click to subscribe on any podcast platform to get new releases of this show as they come out, so please click and subscribe. A massive thank you to our sponsors Mike's Sports Bar in Mayrhofen, Wandering Woods Coffee in the UK, and of course thank you to Mondo Wave for the music. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time.
Un sacapuntas.